What's going on, Tamers? Welcome to DigiPod, the digital podcast, now with video. What's going on, boys?
What's up? We here.
Look, this is now the face of DigiPod. We got Dan in the upper left corner, Mike in the bottom left, myself, and then this bear thing. This is what's recording the podcast. So just ignore it.
Yeah.
So
he's a fly boy right there. Leave him alone.
Yeah. What are we gonna call him? Smokey? We'll call him Smokey, I guess.
Seems like copyright infringement. We got to get sued.
I know. We'll call him Bearmon in the spirit of Digimon.
There we go.
All
They're
right.
not gonna hit us with the copyright now, yo.
Bandai's gonna love us. They love when content creators take their own initiative, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Anyways, so yeah, now we've got video. Super nice. Dan has been having some technical issues, so it's unfortunate. His audios might be a little bit off to what you're normally hearing, but we're gonna work through it. Mike is out here in Arizona for work. So
traveling.
he is in his hotel room. I myself am at home, so this is where you'll see me always. Anyways, that's besides the point. So today we're coming at you guys with, well, of course, it's post-Nats, right? So the only thing that we're going to be talking about is Nats, but we always got to give you guys a locals overview. So the quick locals overview, because none of the three of us was there, is that BlackWarGreymon X won locals. That's our boy Omari. Shout out to Omari. Always be getting the dubs when we're not there. He faced off against, I think, BlackWarGrey X in the finals, took it 2-1. So for those of you who may not like BlackWarGrey X, go with the cousin, WarGrey X.
I would say cousin.
I don't know. It's in the same family. BlitzGreymon, ShineGreymon, WarGreymon, BlackWarGreymon, Ancient Greymon, Emperor Greymon. Yeah, what the hell are they? They're all anyways, like I said, besides the point. That's that. So, as you guys know, beforehand, we had said that Dan was going to nationals. Dan went to nationals. So I'm gonna let Dan take the mic. Mike, and
The struggle.
well, yeah. Do your thing.
All right. As you boys know, I went to Nats, right? And the bricks happened. The brickening, however you want to call it. I was building houses. I was doing it all. You know what I'm saying? It started off great. I played. So we'll say I placed technically 252. I'm very disappointed in my turnout. Record was X4. It was 9 rounds. I started out pretty good. I beat a Grandis. Lost to Crosshard, beat Jessmon, beat BlackWarGreymon X in the mirror, lost to what's his name, Beelstar, and then that's when it went downhill. I was having bricks in between, but like I was able to recover from them. But I'm talking about like starting 5, 2 Greymons, Metal Greymon, Omni X, and sometimes I don't know, anything that wasn't a rookie or a tamer. So it was like pretty bad sometimes. And like I had games where I just couldn't recover from it. I started off 3-1, so like it wasn't too bad, but then it was just like I couldn't recover from the amount of bricks I was having. Like it was just like embarrassingly bad. And because it was so bad at times for me, like I was misplaying because I was just so frustrated seeing like the hands I was starting with. And then I would just not see pieces at all. Like I would have Greymon X without the X-Antibody, vice versa. That happened so many times. Example, I played Primitive Card Game. I'm sure everybody knows who he is. Round 5, and in game 3, I had a Galmon stack that was swinging for like 18k. No, not 18k. I'm sorry. 16k, 4 checks, no protection. So what happens? First check, fly bullet, GG. And that was like the end of the game. You know, that was like the things that was happening a lot. I would have like Mel Greymon X's without Mel Greymon, so it wasn't like full combo. And it was just bad at times. And then after those like 3 game stretch, I played a Maximum player, and then like It went well, I guess, and then I had a buy, I guess, so a free win. So that's how I became X4. Like I said, I started well. I played Huang Zero, as many people know. Great player, actually. And like when I could tell I'm a good player in the sense of like I was able to. We went back and forth. Like there was no bricks, no anything going wrong with that match, and like I was able to come out on top. And even after like conversating with him, like he knew like I wasn't like BSing type of thing, you know. I knew what I was doing. It was just a matter of me finding the pieces to play. So I was very like imagine like a NBA player going to the finals and then going like 0-4, like they get swept. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I felt. Like I was just so like down about it because like I knew I could do better and I didn't show I could do better. I definitely feel that I'm better than 252 out of 1,000. So like that doesn't sound too bad, I guess. But me,
you went below your expectations.
Exactly my point. Exactly. So like expectations top 32, top 64 even. But I didn't even make 128. So like that was like, wow,
Yeah.
A dagger
right
to the heart right there. Yeah. It was just like I said, it was just bad, so bad that like I didn't even like show for day 2 for like side events. I was just like, I was telling everybody here, like in our group chat, how I think I'm taking a break from the game just because like I was mentally draining. I was just hurt, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, fuck. You know what
that reminds me of?
I know what you're gonna say.
That reminds me of when you, Mike, and I went to Philly for the team battle. And Mike and I were just like, y'all were like, y'all ain't sticking around. And Mike and I were like, nah, we're out. We're done. Screw Digimon.
Deadass. Bro, that first check, Breath of the Gods, destroyed my soul, bro. I had full combo. First check, Breath of the Gods. I said, nah, right then. Game 2 it is. No, it was just single rounds. I'm pretty sure. I said, game over it is.
Yo, right.
Oh man. Yeah.
So like imagine. So you're Varni, like, right? Imagine that feeling, but like multiplied because we're at the championships. We're in the what's called the Digimon Finals 2022. So like amplify that by like 10.
Hell yeah.
And like the feeling was just terrible. So like I said I was gonna take a break. And I don't know if I will like maybe I won't play like BlackWarGreymon for a while. Just like mess with like the decks
out. Put that deck down.
Dying to play with like Tyrannomon, Galacticmon, the Bird, Beast deck and stuff, variety of other stuff. Just because they have like the fun.
Bird Beast deck, let's call it what it really is. Phoenix Mon Tribal, baby.
All right.
Dang, let's go.
Phoenix Mon Tribal, yeah, sure. Sukumon, Sukun Control, whatever, Poop Loop Scoop, saying like
Poop Loop Scoop.
Right, so like maybe I'm just gonna do that. And like I said, just stay away from BlackWarGreymon for now, I guess. I do have me and Varni signed up for the Ultimate Cups in March, so I should be good by then,
Are you gonna play BlackWarGreymon again?
Hell yeah. You know what? Yeah.
You gotta come back at it. You gotta come back at it. Run it back.
So moving forward, I think I took my break. Like it's like yesterday on Sunday. Me and my girl, we went out and like went to the zoo. We went to like the LA Zoo, the aquarium. We did mad shit, and that was a good refresher just to stay away from the game. You know what I'm saying? Even if it was just for the day. But I love playing Digimon so much, so it's like now I want to get back to it again. And I don't think I'm gonna have like a real break per se. Like I'll be back at locals next Sunday.
The grind don't stop, baby.
Yeah, right. I think my goal now, I don't want to get a Nats invite unless I top regional now. Like because to prove that I belong there, you know what I'm saying? So that's gonna be my goal moving forward. So I'm gonna try to do as much of like the online regionals I can do to get like whenever they start national season. Yeah. So I don't want my invite from a store championship. If I get it, great. But I want to make sure I get a top 16 at least once in a regional to prove that, I'm a good player in this community,
So like you saying that, so like I love the fact that we have store championships. I love that like anybody can go win a store championship and qualify for Nats. And there are a lot of good players that come from store championships for sure. If it wasn't for that, Nats turnouts would be wildly different because there's only you would probably only have maybe like 500 or so players qualify from regionals a year. So store championships really give that, really give that presence. And obviously not everybody's able to make it. I do feel like though, I don't want to come at anybody, but like I can already see Mike. I feel like store champions, a lot of them are scrubs sometimes. Like I'm just gonna say it. Like,
yeah, Varni, quick question, bro.
Yeah.
Where was the store champion this year?
No, I'm not. I didn't say all of them because Adrian, our boy, the other boy who went from our store, went with Dan. He placed 112, I think, or 118.
He placed 112. I'm hyped for him.
Adrian did fantastic because he was playing all force. He went 6-3, I think, right?
Killed it. Yeah, he killed it.
Yeah, he killed it.
He did really good.
Really, really good. We're gonna have him on pod, probably our next pod or so. But Adrian did pretty damn good. But it's just like I know what you mean. I felt that way when I took my last shot at Nats, that last regional, and I didn't get that top 16. I felt like I didn't feel like I was like completely inadequate because I was like, cool. Like I was like this close, but like, I know what you're saying. When you hit that top 16 in a regionals, no mulligan, everybody's playing because everybody wants that Nats invite, and you hit that top 16 to get your Nats invite, it's a different feeling and it's validating. So like I'm with you there. Like that's definitely how I feel this year. For myself, I'm definitely getting out there to get in some more regionals. But I'm gonna say if I get my Nats dub from a store championship, I'm not gonna let Mike screw me over on this one.
Oh my god! Yeah, I screwed you over, bro.
Yeah, no.
Going to top every single game, bro. It's not my fault. My goal for this year is to just make it to nationals. I got my invite, and screw me, I guess. God said he didn't want me to play. He knew I was better than everyone else. What can I say? He didn't want me to. Honestly, tinfoil hat time. Everyone put him on. Bandai didn't want me to win with Jank. They knew I had to win over.
You weren't gonna play Jank. You was gonna play Xros Hearts, and you know it.
Yeah, you don't play Crossfire.
I don't know. I mean, probably. I don't know what I would have played. Probably Cross, though.
It's a tragic day for Mike because now that Cross has won an event in top so much, it's not Jank anymore. It's not actually right? Good.
It's a top deck, baby.
Now Mike's got to go sell his alts.
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
GG. Phoenix March rival, here we come.
Oh, baby, don't let that top one time.
I know, right?
Yeah, no, I've been having a lot. Speaking of Cross, though, I've been having an absolute blast playing that deck. I'm glad that it did so well. And I think that there's a conversation to be had there about how well it's done, even with Cross 4 being limited to 1. I think that we probably have touched on this before, but I think we've said, or I've definitely said in the past, that a lot of Digimon players, and especially the US meta, once a deck gets hit, they throw it away. I don't want to say meta sheet, but like in the US especially,
for what it is.
I mean, it's like a very competitive scene sometimes, so people don't want to take the time to learn and build a deck once it's been hit. So it's really cool to see Cross do so well after being hit and getting some new support and topping like it has been, which is awesome to see.
You know what somebody said today on Mario's stream? They said, "Oh God, I don't understand. I think Cross 4 should be unbanned."
Nah, they're crazy. I mean,
if that card gets unbanned, that deck is just wild powerful right now. Like that'd be too crazy.
And it doesn't need to be on hit though, because Cross 3 is
is perfect.
So good for the
Cross 3 is really good.
I mean, it
really
costs 3. Like you only need to use 3 materials. That is so good to only have to use 3 materials and only cost 1 in return. Like it limits. I don't know. And then you still get to grab 2 cards.
Oh yeah, grabbing 2 when your deck is literally only Cross Hearts.
3, grab 2. Exactly. Your whole deck is Cross Hearts. You're grabbing
it's the
something
cool boy
no matter
of the deck.
what. Yeah, it's awesome. It's
cool
so
boy
good.
Get hit?
I mean, obviously, it's not better than Cross 4 because Cross 4 can loop and keep going. I mean, if you had 3 memory with a Cross 4, you could Cross 4 3 times in 1 turn. And that's if you didn't have, the Green Tamer on the field that lets you literally just gain a memory back when you play from your hand. So you could do it 4 times if you want. Hell, you could do it even more if you're playing a king. You king and get back your Cross 4. Keep going. Screw it, buddy. But yeah, I mean, that deck's good.
And this is exactly why Hades Force needs to be around for the things you just said right there.
Bro.
The topping BlackWarGreymon list?
Yeah.
1 Hades Force.
From where?
The winner for North America, Andres, I think?
Yeah.
1 singular Hades Force.
Man. When I watched that,
and that was a clutch one too, right? He topped that, I think.
For everyone that watched that Eggman stream on Twitch, you know exactly the moments I'm talking about. He Hades forced both those games, game 1 and game 2, and that absolutely, positively sealed that man the dub each game. He played very well. On stream, they kept saying he was playing safe and he was playing so safe and playing so conservative. I don't think so. I think he was just playing very smart. I think there's a difference between playing too safe and playing smart. He knew the matchup. He knew what he had to do to win. He knew that if he could clear board and win, he could do it. I think there's a big difference between playing safe and securing a dub. I'll be honest, when I first watched, when I was watching the stream live, and I saw him swing, I think he swung Gaimon into cross 7 to get it off board. I was like, oh man, what's he doing? In my head, I was like, man, what's he doing? And then I saw him drop the BlackWarGreymon for 5 and clear board with Hades Force. I said, never mind, this dude already knows what's up. That's why I'm not competing for the number 1 spot in the Nationals right now.
Hey, on that note, real quick, y'all know there's a guy who went from LCQ all the way to top 16?
Yes, yeah, I read that on the Facebook group. Yeah.
Mike, that could have been you. You could have came with us, just came through, gone your LCQ invite, and then been in the championship, bro.
My luck, bro, I would have gotten a second invite somehow, and then lost my deck.
Yo, why you gonna bring that up? Yo, there's at least 2 people who lost decks this weekend too.
Fact.
I saw somebody lose a Grandest deck, another one lost a Max Rarity All-Force deck, and my heart goes out to them.
Yep.
Because I know how that feels. Guys, what do I say? Pick up your stuff when you leave, bro. Don't put it down. Keep it on your back, because it's rough out there, bro. People are not.
PSA. I see you picking up a book bag that's not yours. I'm rocking you. Don't steal. That shit's not cool, bro.
Nah, it's really not, bro. That's infuriating.
It's wild.
It really is.
Like you think that we're all a nice community and people love to go out to these events because they love talking to people, meeting each other, and then something like that happens and nobody steps up to say hey, did somebody lose a deck or and think about that's nationals, bro. It's damn, I'm out for the count.
Yeah, it's what's even sadder about that? It's nationals. That is the top level to compete at for Digimon. and we have players in our like player base that would steal someone else's deck.
We have players in our player base who will cheat.
I was about to say, they're all cheating. We had a bunch.
Sad.
In person.
We had a bunch of them. How you try to cheat on stream?
They got too used to online games, bro. They be triple drawing and shit.
Yo, one dude what he did was have an identical deck in his bag, and he would try and pull out cards in the middle of the table, underneath his table. It's like, bro, how do you why do you think that was like
on the table?
Facts.
God damn.
Your cards sit in your hand on the table.
And then hit him with the classic, oh no, I dropped my hand on the floor. Comes back out.
That ass. Like, it's crazy. And then you had, I was hearing people was getting disqualified for the way they were shuffling opponents' decks and stuff. Don't know if that one's true or not, but that's what I was hearing while I was over there.
How are they
because you're not allowed to shuffle. So Digimon rules, you're not allowed to shuffle in a certain way, and they were shuffling in that way. And so you're allowed if you get your deck back and it's shuffled like the overhead type sleeve, you're supposed to not be able to do that for cutting in Digimon rules. Don't know. Somebody could fact check me. That's what I was told. And you're allowed to take the deck and reshuffle it and then give it back to them to cut. And so a couple people called judges on them, and they got disqualified round 1, round 2 losses or whatever it was. Pretty crazy. And then you had people who playing blue sources under Machinedramon, even though they know that you can't do that. But all right, on stream.
Yo, do you know what was crazy about that one? And no disrespect to these people. I mean, maybe
some disrespect. Some disrespect.
I don't know. Maybe they play Yu-Gi-Oh, bro. We all know Yu-Gi-Oh players can't read. Me and Dan are former Yu-Gi-Oh players.
No, fact.
But Machinedramon and Chaosdramon both state that you can't.
Red and black.
It has to be red and black. BT11 Machinedramon doesn't say it has to be red or black. You can put anything underneath it that's a level 5 cyborg, and I think that's where the misunderstanding came from, because BT11 Machinedramon doesn't state red or black. So I think that's where the misunderstanding was. I can't speak on it. I didn't speak to the person who built the deck, and whatever.
Listen.
But that's what the best guess I have is that he thought that it worked because BT11 Machinedramon it works with.
Listen, read your motherfucking cards, bro.
Read your cards.
That's all I'm saying. You're at nationals. You're at the top level of play. Whether you made it by store championship, LCQ, or you qualified for regionals, you're at the top level of championship. You need to be reading not only your cards through and through, but your opponent's cards. You need to know. Good.
What was crazy for me is in that game where he was playing, I saw it on stream, he was playing the blue Source Ledger's Machinedramon. His opponent read the card, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, it says it. And it's not I know that in EX3 we had a lot of bad erratas and stuff. They all
that was never one for EX1.
Cards need to be errated, but those specifically were not a part of it. They were fine. So I don't know what happened there.
Also, on top of reading, I hate playing the players who don't say a single word and they expect you to know everything that goes on, and they get mad when you question the card because you're all right, what's it supposed to do? And then you could tell they're irritated, they have to speak. It's bro, I may actually know what it does, but do you actually know your card, or you just assuming it knows what it does? I had a couple times I did that to them, and I know what it does. Obviously, I'm in the mirror, not Hold On Zero, some other mirror match I had. Didn't say a single word, and obviously I know every single card that does in BlackWarGreymon X. But he wasn't saying jack, and I'm just sitting there waiting for him to say it, to communicate the words, because I'm all right, so what is this a play that's happening or is it not happening? I know you're supposed to DJ to a pop, but you're not saying anything, and you're not giving any indications of it. You just assume I'm going to do it. No, that doesn't work like that. You got to talk, you got to communicate. This is a card game. You're versing another person. You're not playing solitaire. And so that was
he's playing BlackWarGreymon X. It's pretty close to solitaire.
Hey, but you're playing against another person, all right? I played the deck. Stop it.
The deck says a lot about a person, Daniel.
Oh boy! All right, sure.
But no, I mean,
we'll talk about you SecCom players. SecCom players who really thought there.
I know us.
Do you guys remember when Lilliput was like really big and a lot of people were playing it?
Yep.
People that didn't speak when they played Lilliput used to drive me crazy.
Well, it's because they're the toxic people.
Because why did you just put 25 cards in your trash and gain 17 memory? You need to explain to me what the hell just happened.
Explain your stats. Like, communicate what's happening.
Yes.
So like the opponent doesn't need to be like stop every single play to understand what's happening. Like obviously most players know what's happening, but there's certain cards sometimes, you know, Oceania X sometimes, like Oceania X, like, I don't always remember the effect, but like, so that's why I'd be like, can you say what the card does so I could like be reminded of it? Because I don't know how many cards we have in Digimon now? Like what, 13 sets, 4 side sets,
13 sets of about 100 some cards. So yeah, we're about
like, you know what I'm saying?
Probably like 1,800 to 2,000 cards.
Well, let's say close to 2,000. I don't know, 2,000 cards effects. Like I know what's happening right now immediately in the decks I'm playing, but like it doesn't mean I know everything that's going on. So like it's better to just communicate what's happening so both players know what's happening on board state. I always thought that's like common knowledge, but it's really not.
No, it's because some players literally do it to ag you. Like it's a tactic, it's a strategy. Like Mike and I were watching this one guy play, and this guy Bandai has the setup on how your field should be set up, and the one guy has. So if you look at, if my screen is the board and you normally have security up here, eggs here, your deck here, or your deck here and your trash here. This guy had security up here. His egg, his Digi-Egg deck here, he hatched over here. This is the play area where he then has trash and deck over here. And I'm like I know it's one thing like if you're like left-handed and that's you set it up in the way that you can play, but the way then he had a security set out in a row of 5 going horizontally, and it just had no room to build a stack because of the proximity of the eggs to the thing. And I'm like, you must be one of those players to do this just to ag people. And that's what people do. They'll not say effects just because they're like, and you're like, can you? I don't know what all this means.
Whenever I see stuff like that, I know it's just because people, excuse my language, are being an asshole and trying to tilt you. I played Magic for a really long time. I remember this one super famous thing, and it actually caused a rule change. And it was because they used to play this card called Dryad Arbor. And it's a creature, but it's also a force. And in some high-level play, someone had tucked it back with their lands, and the opponent didn't realize they still had a creature to block with because it was tucked and hidden away. So they literally threw the game because they swung into a creature that was blockable and didn't even realize it. Damn. So they actually had to change where you are allowed to put creatures that count as force.
Yeah, that's why I like structure. I like layout because it doesn't leave any room for interpretation, any room for like, what is that? Where is this? It's so aggravating with people sometimes.
Shout out to my boy Ian, who literally just gets a pile of cards and shoves them onto a Digimon so you can't read.
You know another thing?
Especially if he has a big stack.
You know another that ags me. You know what else ags me? The way True Champion Steven does it, and I'm calling him out because I get so irritated when I like him as a content creator. I don't like the way he does that. And people who say, well, it's a Yu-Gi-Oh thing. No, you're playing Digimon. Nah. It should be a Digimon thing. Your inherited effects are at the bottom of your card. So if you... Yo, this is so bad. If you take this card and you see inherited effect at the bottom, how are you reading this? What is this? Oh, well, you may know it because it's your stack, but you're purposely doing it so that your opponent is like unaware of what your stack consists of. And like, as your opponent should be clarifying effects anyways, but like, They teach you in the manual that you stack the cards like so that you can see inherited effects. So people who do otherwise, you're just out there to aggravate people. And you're the type of people I despise the most. If I see you, I will build a SecCon deck just for you to make sure that you rot in the depths of hell and that you never make it back to a nationals.
Damn.
Such aggravation for those people, bro.
Harsh words.
Harsh words.
It's been going hard, bro.
For real.
Just a quick thing on like etiquette. Like, first of all, like we've Dan and I have been preaching this to you guys since like last year. Like, make sure you read your opponent's cards effects. A big thing is knowing what's going to be in the meta. Like, study the decks. You got to know what you're playing against. Know the cards that can come down. Of course, there are going to be tech cards that you may not know about, but you got to know general effects, right? Because for something like BT8 BlackWarGrey, or sorry, not BlackWarGrey, Metal Greymon, like Dan said, we know it's going to de-digivolve pop 3 care less. Your opponent knows that, but make them say it. Like, don't just something I do, and I do it with Dan and Mike because I'm comfortable with it. But yeah, make them confirm it. Like, what are you de-digivolving? What are you popping? Like, you got to get those words out their mouth.
Yeah, and also if you aren't sure when it's your turn, like I've played against a lot of people who, like, you know, in the past, like they'll like. A card will gain something, like something will gain blocker off a card, right? Yeah. And they won't tell you that it gains blocker.
Rugamon.
Yeah, they won't tell you a game blocker, so you'll swing and die. And it's like, well, you're supposed to know that. Always, whenever I'm playing in any high competitive play, even in locals sometimes, I always ask, I go, what has blocker? What has this? What is their Digimon doing right now before I attack?
Mm-hmm.
Like, before I do anything on my turn, what can you do in response? Like, you tell me your effects right now. Like, because people can be a little deceptive and sneaky about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at the end of the day, in high level play, I mean, if your opponent doesn't tell you something and you swing and it has blocker and you didn't know and you die, they're an asshole, first of all. But it's also your fault for not asking.
Exactly.
Like if they gained retaliation for the turn and you didn't confirm that it had retaliation and you swing into it, they should have told you, but you also should have asked first.
I will also say, though.
Always confirm.
I will also say, though, for stuff like Dexter Rugamon, like, it specifically specifies one of your Digimon, right? So for stuff like that, like if they don't announce that they're giving it blocker and retaliation, you can challenge that with a judge call. Because
100%. But then it's he said, she said, right?
It is. Which is why if you're playing a webcam game, you record your matches. But no, regardless, like that's definitely something that you can judge call it, because you're like, he didn't announce that he was giving it, because the Digimon rules state that, like, I think it's when a card, like you can take a card in your hand, place it on the field and not let go of it. And as long as you don't let go of it, the play hasn't officially happened. You haven't announced that you can pull it back to hand. But the moment that the card leaves your hand, or the moment that the play is announced, like I Digivolve into Ophanimon for 4, like those are cementing plays and you can't reverse those plays in official tournament play. So with the same kind of grounds, like if something gives blocker retaliation by an effect and your opponent doesn't declare I give this blocker retaliation or this has blocker retaliation for the turn, and it goes into your turn and you don't know that, you swing and they're like, I block, and you're like, how the hell are you blocking? They're like, oh, this effect. And you're like, well, you didn't announce it. Oh, well, judge call. See what happens, right?
100%.
It's like the NFL.
I mean, I'm tossing the table.
He said, red flag on the play.
You're gonna reach across the
table, bro. I'm tossing the table for sure. I'm going crazy.
Some people argue like that. So you got to be aware of those things. You guys got to watch out for yourself, because not all Digimon players are nice. We have a nice community. Some of them mofos are toxic, straight up.
Right.
So
they will try to rule shark you for the smallest things too. Sometimes,
Yes, they will.
Yeah.
Yes, they will. It's so dumb.
Also, I looked it up.
Mm-hmm.
The official rule: place the Digivolve Digimon card from your hand on top of the card that meets the Digivolution conditions. Stack them so that any inherited effects of the card below it are visible.
Judge call? Judge?
So we're all clear here.
Judge called them side stackers. Ian, if anybody calls Judge on me at locals, because you're stacking your cards, your whole Digi-Evolution stack in one thing, I'm
Hey, Varni, I'm just saying, usually me and you are like the one that's our judge for our community, so
that's what I'm saying.
Real quick, you know?
I can't say what happened. If look, Marcus is coming in set 12. He's going to be allowed to punch you. I may just let it happen a set early and let your opponent reach across the table and punch you.
Yo, that's true. Only one more set.
Real hand given.
Yeah, for real. Only one more set, and then Marcus gets to start running these hands on everyone, bro.
Can we just talk about burst mode real quick? Can we talk about how good that deck is going to be? I mean, it's already good, but like, it's just...
Is it already good?
Yeah, it's been topping, isn't it? Hasn't it?
In our meta?
No, we don't have it. I'm talking about in Japan. I'm talking about Japan.
I was talking about like Shine Gray by itself.
No. I'm talking about Japan. I'm talking about how Marcus is just running the show over there. I mean, Mirage Gaogamon has been doing good with the new burst mode.
Mirage Gaogamon burst mode? I told you, I didn't believe.
Which is wild, because that deck is meme tier right now.
So you guys should be picking up your alt arts.
Yeah, that deck's so bad, I'm not even playing it. And I love Jink. I should tell you something.
You guys should be picking up your alt arts, pick up your or your Mirages and your Nikolais. I don't know if you play the Nikolais, to be honest.
Two. I think I saw...
Because you might just play the Thomas.
I saw the Japan list that had two, but Japan lists are always weirder than ours because they tell you the best of one. It's different. It's hard to compare lists. But I did see some tops in Japan, and they're playing like two, and then like a bunch of the Thomas. Like,
because the new Thomas is a memory setter, so that's
a bunch of the new Thomas and some of the old Thomas.
The old Thomas is on play a draw one, and then I think if you have 8 or more cards, you can unsuspend with it. So it's still really good for that.
Yeah.
Your Nikolais are stupid cheap right now, I think.
But before we
they're probably
get too crazy and too off topic, we should talk about National some more.
Yeah. Sorry. We'll save this for another
briefly
pod.
Touch.
Oh, we're not briefly touching it.
Well, no. I just want to touch on like quick overview of decks at top. Okay. So for our Nationals top 4, our Nationals, U.S. Nationals top 4 was 3 BlackWarGreymon X and 1 Cross. I believe for Oceania, it was 2 Grandis 1, which is really cool. 1 BlackWarGreymon X, and I believe it was 1 Machinedramon who placed 4th, which is awesome. That's really cool to see. And what was it? Latin, right? But they didn't have.
We kind of
Latin America. Hold on. I got flamed on Twitter. All right, I got flamed. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it up. I stated on Twitter that Latin America's nationals were not BT11 because they didn't receive product on time. I was corrected by Raopia. I'm not going to give their @ tag so that you can't go flame them or anything, but you'll see it if you fucking look at my shit anyway, so it doesn't matter. But they said, that's false. We got BT11 on time. The problem was the release date. It was the Friday prior to the finals. So that's why BT11 wasn't legal, not because of any delay. In fact, the side events that we played were with BT11. So please stop spreading misinformation. So first of all, Raopia, I apologize that I had the wrong information. I apologize I'm not part of your Latin American community, that I would know what is entirely going on over there. However, my fact still stands that you guys didn't get it in time and your nationals were not BT11 because of it. It's never stopped Bandai in the past. I don't know why Bandai gave you guys the pass, because they last year they said, oh yeah, EX01 is going to come out. It's going to be delayed. It's still going to be legal for nationals. So the fact that you guys got it on Friday, wasn't legal for Sunday, is really cool, because they have showed that, you know, even with this,
I think it was. Theirs
was 2 days also.
I'm pretty sure they got it.
Oh yeah, Saturday.
I think it was the Friday before Nationals.
Yeah. So that's
it was like a week. The reason why it was delayed though was still because it wasn't long enough time, and I'm pretty sure Bandai thought it was unfair.
And I understand that, but like Bandai could have totally pushed regionals back, or sorry, they could have pushed now because when they announced it, they knew what the release date was going to be. It's not like they delayed the set. Like, according to the information that I was given, it's not like they delayed it and said like, hey, it's going to come out. It just was, it came out that date. Nationals were this date and it wasn't allowed. So Bandai could have full well pushed Nationals back a week to allow them to get their product because it was legal for the other 3 regions that it was happening for: Oceania, EU, and North America. So, whatever. I'm sorry that I got the information wrong, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
So that's why.
So for Latin America, Nationals, like no offense to Latin America, I don't even want to count theirs as like to talk about for Nationals because it wasn't even like BC11. What's the point even talking about at this point?
No, I agree, but I might as well just touch it real quick. For Latin America, it was Xros Hearts. EXD format. You gotta remember it's EXD format. So Xros Hearts without new support, which makes that even more impressive in my opinion, because it's still only using 1 Cross 4 and 1 Sunrise Buster, which is wild. WarGreymon X, the deck, does stuff. Hydramon Blue Lord topped, so I think that was one of the only Bloom and Hydramon Lord tops actually. And then MetalGreymon X, so Melga got 4th place. So, I mean, it's still kind of interesting, though, if you think about it, because they have Melga. I mean, not that Melga got hit, so it's still at full power technically, but they had Melga at full power in, like, Melga format, and it didn't actually win, so that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I have EUs pulled up, but I know that Cross won.
Right? Let's see what we have here.
I just
Cross 1 in EU. Their top 4 breakdown, matter of fact, I might have it on my phone here. Let me double check. I know Cross 1, Machine Dramon placed 4th, because I remember we talked about that.
Oh, was that
my boy Machine Dramon?
Did wait, let me see here. Is
No, I don't have it here.
No, did Machine Dramon place 4th in the EU? I thought that was Oceania they placed 4th in.
No.
I'll pull it up. In a sec.
4th. Oh, yes. You're right. So, damn, I don't remember what it was for EU.
I'll grab them just real quick so we can talk about it.
Word. In the meantime, yeah, it's NA and... Which is the other one Eggman did the video on today for?
Oceania.
Okay, so it's NA and Oceania that we have the most for. I haven't been able to find any information about EU regionals. Like, I've seen a couple players post their deck lists and like what they placed. So, nationals, sorry. But I have... It's been such a struggle to get information from EU, and I know a lot of players were complaining that there should be better coverage because NA had a stream. There were 2 other nationals happening simultaneously that didn't have anything going for them. And, it sucks.
Even Latin America had a stream for it, which is crazy.
And they did.
I can't find anything for you.
Because I watched like the first 4 rounds because I was bored, whatever I was doing that day. And I was like, oh, look, Latin America stream. Even though there was like no commentating, it was just the gameplay.
I think they might have posted it on Twitter here. Let's see. This is for...
Yeah, I've got nothing for
Oceania.
EU. But I do know Cross won EU. And I think that list was running Mervmon.
Yeah, that was the Merva list.
So that was the Merva list. The list that topped in the US Nationals was running the Cross 7, and I think that list is way cooler, just so we're clear. Giant robots are fucking awesome. Language, my bad, I'm so sorry. Giant robots are awesome. I'm a huge
it's 4 Blinding Ray and like a bunch of like other memory games. You just hard play that Mervamon for a game. That happened to me against the Crossbar player. The Crossbar player that beat me. That was a crazy combo.
I gotta say, Wong Zero, he was playing Gravity Crush in his BlackWarGreymon list.
And it came in clutch multiple times.
Yeah, that was nuts. That was cool. That was a spicy tech for sure. Yeah, big fan.
I don't think he played against him. He probably never drew it.
Maybe.
Oh, I don't know. That's when y'all told me about it, I was like, Gravity Crush, what?
Yeah, I don't know what his list was. I haven't seen his full list, but I know he's playing Gravity Crush. I saw it on stream. But I guess also we could talk about promo BlackWarGreymon.
The one that was in Andre's hopping and A-list. Two. At two of, I think it was.
Yeah, he ran it at 2.
Yeah, it was no BTA BlackWarGreymon. It was just the promo one.
Bro, that's wild.
I see.
Yeah. So for all the people who say like we gotta hit BlackWarGrey, I want you guys to go look at first place BlackWarGrey, and I want you to see the lack of tamer hate in that deck, the one Hades Force, and the lack of BT8 BlackWarGrey. Now Mike and I are on the same page about this. Hades Force is really good. It's a really good card. Is it ban-worthy, Mike?
No.
I don't think so either.
This dude played it at one U.S. Nationals and at 1,000 people.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? Limit it to 1? It's not MDF. You got the only banned card in Digimon is MDF.
That's because it was legitimately busted.
Yeah, that card is not anywhere near as strong as MDF. And what are you gonna do? Put Hades Force to 1? That doesn't do anything.
He was only playing that one, right? I don't think it should have a cost reduction. If you're gonna wipe your opponent's board clear of stuff, I think it should cost a full 7 or even an 8. But I can understand why it does reduce cost because you have to build up the stack. That in mind, the problem isn't the deck. The problem is just Greymon X. No cost reduction is necessary, but that's not the point of today's podcast.
All right, yeah.
We're saying there's a lack of tamer hate in this deck, and he won with 2 promo BlackWarGrey and 3 Guilemon.
I've just been seeing the craziest takes about banning stuff from BlackWarGrey X. I saw people saying put BlackWarGrey X to 1.
Which isn't even the problem. It's only at 2.
Look at his list. He's playing BlackWarGrey X at 2. Okay.
It's a good card.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna hit Guilemon next, then? You're gonna put Guilemon to 1? And then people are saying Cool Boy, limit Cool Boy to 1. I don't know. I think that if you do have to hit a card, though, I think it would have to be BT11 Greymon. But I think that you guys need to play the format out.
Agreed.
Because the 100%. Real hatred for BT11 Greymon will come in
because
BT12.
Of BlackWarGrey.
It'll come in BT12 when you guys get WarGreymon with Raid. That's when y'all are going to be like, Bandai, please, for the love of God, save us.
Dan, let me ask you a question. Before you went off to Nats, what was your original lineup for BlackWarGrey? For your level 6s?
Are you talking about before or after I did the change?
Before.
Okay, before it was 3 BlackWarGreymon X, 2 Guilemon, 2 BlackWarGreymon.
And why did you switch your ratio?
So I switched my ratio from to 3 Guilemon, 2 and 2, because in the mirror map, Guilemon is way better than BlackWarGreymon because BlackWarGreymon can't get rid of it. You can't blitz and swing into something. Guilemon is better in the grandest matchup. Guilemon is better against Jesmon. Guilemon is better in Xmon. Guilemon is better in all the bad matchups for BlackWarGreymon. So if you're going to Naturals thinking you're going to play BlackWarGreymon, Jesmon, Grandest, why not put the best card at the highest ratio? And after talking to a lot of people at Nats, people were realizing what I've been preaching for a while. Because even before Nats, I was talking about Guilemon being the best card for the mirror for the longest, right? You know me, you've been talking about that. And at first, you looked at me like, you're crazy. BlackWarGreymon X is busted. You know what I'm saying? You're like, but you can do A, B, and C with BlackWarGreymon X. I'm like, yeah, but how do you get over that in the mirror? you can't do it with BlackWarGreymon X. You got pass your turn if you do it with BlackWarGreymon X. That's what Galmon is so important, and people realize that. And to me, BlackWarGreymon X is great in every other matchup than the worst ones for it. Exactly. Than the worst ones. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you see BlackWarGreymon X is against Melga, GG, you're winning, basically guaranteed. If you see it against Hydra, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to be in pretty good shape. Even against Crossheart, and Crossheart is kind of a hard matchup in the sense of you kind of need Galmon for D-Digivolve and like swing over X7 if X7's on board. But you could get away with just the BlackWarGreymon X because of the blocking a hair and then the always popping on when you restand.
Well, it's also the redirect. The redirect is what makes it so good because
that's what I meant by like blocking.
Yeah. So you essentially get a double block if you have the right stack of block and a redirect, which is super clutch.
Also, you can pull off an absolutely bonkers play of Guilemon Blitz D-Digivolve. If X-Antibody is underneath, go into an Omni X-Antibody and just go crazy.
What's even better about this combo, because Huang Zero did it against me. If you were at, like, let's say just the Greymon X, right? You raise, go into like Metal Greymon, go into Metal Greymon X, the one that gives you the D-Digivolve protection, and then you climb with the stack to Omni X. The Omni X is gonna negate all attacks. Well, you won't be able to swing over it because you can't attack. You can't de-digivolve it either, and you're unaffected by options. So that's like the most unkillable stack you'll ever see, and it's like kind of busted. And then especially next turn, you're gonna be like swing pop. I'm probably going for game or something. You know what I'm saying? Like it's such a deadly combo. Or even like for me, I use the new Omni X with the Galmon as like a pseudo blitz Omni for game. If they have one security, I'll digivolve to Galmon blitz. Affect the X-Antibody, Digivolve to Omni X, trash, swing for game. Or even if they have a blocker, great, you're bottom decking it too, trash game. You know what I'm saying? That happened to me against like Jessamon, for example, at Nats. They had like the System on Blanc, and he thought he was chilling. I had raised Galmon, Digivolve his Jessamon for the giggles, you know. Omni X, I bombed deck his Blanc, which stopped all blockers. And he had like a couple of Systemons, and then trash his last security and swung for game. Like that happens quite frequently, and that's why like that type of deck you don't need Blitz Omni because you have a pseudo Blitz Omni that does even more at times. And if you're not in a winning situation in that, you just Digivolving for 5 and like big body on board, can't be killed because you have like the protection. Next turn, every turn you keep just trashing their security and just doing a heck amount of damage.
I saw I heard rumblings of like people like, oh, like why BT5 Omni? Like I don't like BT5 Omni X over the new Omni X. And Dan was on this wave from before too, because he was like, this is how I stop Grandis.
That card is busted.
This is how I stop Jessamon. And the topping list again is running too. And I saw plays where Andres just said, get. And he gave his opponent 10 memory and said, deal with it.
And a lot of times, especially if you're against Crossheart, and let's say you did something, maybe you did like I've done this play with you, Varni, right? You Hades Force, let's say you have a stack already established, like Galmon or something. You Hades Force, blow up their board, so that costs 5. Then you Digivolve into like a Omni X because you can if you have the X-Antibody because you swing from the Hades Force effect, which passes turn, and you giving them 8-9, but they have no board, so they gotta redo everything, and then you just have this giant Omni stack. It's so powerful. Unfortunately, you give them a lot of memory, so maybe they can come back, but like if you blow them, their tamers is like.
I want to talk about one ban that people are calling for that I think is possibly the worst take ever. They're calling, and no, it's not Cool Boy. They're calling for the ban of the X-Antibody option or the limit.
Oh my god, yeah, which is so stupid.
And I disagree with it so heavily, and here's why. I think if it wasn't for the cost reduction on BT11 Greymon, the entire X-Antibody line from BT11 would be the gold standard for what it should have been. Because the problem with Melga, and not really, but to an extent, the Greymon line from BT9, is the fact that it just requires the two of the same source, which for a deck like Melga can be easy because it's sometimes you open a rookie and then you draw into the X-Antibody, cool, boom, and then you see your level 4. Oh, hey, cool boy, search out your level 4 X-Antibody, cool. That's 2 more sources. And it's so easy to, especially because the Melga one prevents the deletion in battle, essentially. So you're getting a minimum of 2 saves, but when you're Melga, you're getting a minimum of 3 to 4 sometimes. And for WarGreymon, if that deck was more meta relevant, people would be complaining about it more, but people only complain about what's meta relevant because they don't like decks that are overpowered. I think the BT11 Greymon line is perfect because you have to bottom deck your X-Antibody option. So, of course, like most, I think, if not all, Black or Gray lists run 3. I don't think you run less. You could run 4. I don't think it's necessary, maybe. But that means like, oh, cool. Did you see them bottom deck one earlier off like an Augu search? Okay, so they stuck one under their stack. They have one more somewhere. So if you can deal with the first one, you can probably, you're probably in good standing, right? And like I said, if it wasn't for the cost reduction on BT11 Greymon, I think that line would have been perfect to say like, this is how we fix the X-Antibody line, because it just fixes, like if Melga had to do that, if Melga swung and then they lose the X-Antibody option, it's like, damn, that changes things. But they just swing recklessly because it's like, remove 2 source. Okay, cool. I lose my 2K. I still have 2 more layers of protection. Like, I don't think the card is busted. Maybe it should have cost 1, maybe. If you want to complain about it, maybe it should have cost 1. But I think the one attacking is fine. I think like what the card does is fine. I really don't think that's the right hit.
I think it's kind of like a stray bullet hit. Like people are mad at X-Antibody because of how busted like BT11 Greymon X-Antibody is. Like that cost reduction on it is just insane because first of all, the issue with it is it's so good because it synergizes so well with the pre-existing X-Antibody support like Cool Boy. Like when you pass someone 1 and they have a Cool Boy and then they know that all they have to do is Digivolve into the like Greymon from BT11, gain that memory. Now they're at 2. Now they can Digivolve you for 2. Like when they go into the black-red BT8 Metal Greymon, and then it's just over from there. Like it's so good because it makes the already existing cards so much better, and they were already really good. Yeah. And that's what I've been saying for like 3 weeks or however long it's been, is that BT11 BlackWarGreymon X is just like the perfect culmination of sets and sets and sets and sets and sets of support for the Greymon line.
Back during, for us, it had to be like BT6. When Dan and I first saw BT8 Metal Greymon, we were like, yo, this card is good. Not busted. It's still not busted. Good. It cost 4 to Digivolve. That was, people complained. Dan, do you remember that? Do you remember when people were like, oh my goodness, it cost 4? Like, why would anybody play that? That makes it so bad. Do you Digivolve and pop a 3K or less for 3? That's what you want? No, 4 is completely justified. So here Bandai comes along and they release a card that lets you not do it for 3, but do it for 2. and then give you Gaiomon on top of it.
And I'll tell you what makes it more of an issue. And again, this is not like, these cards are all fine by themselves, but when you put them together, it's an issue. BT5 Greymon that gains you a memory when you Digivolve. If you have a Tamer in play and you have 3 memory, you can go in the same turn from 3 memory from an Agumon rookie all the way to a Gaiamon with Blitz. You could do it in the same turn from 3 memory all the way to an to an Omni X.
Dumb.
With 3 memory. You go from 3 memory to an Omni X in the same turn.
And it's dumb. And it's all because of that cost reduction, because Melga can't do that. Melga, the most Melga can do is typically 1 to 2 Digivolves a turn, depending on like what it is. So like it's either like I see Where Garurumon in Raising, or they have a memory boost. They come out and then they go into Where Garurumon off like a Cool Boy, because the Garuru X or a memory boost or something. But this whole cost reduction shenanigans is like, and like Mike said, it gets worse, because soon it's going to be, okay, Memory Tamer and Agumon. Did you evolve into that Greymon? 2. Greymon X, Cool Boy. Let's not even put Cool Boy in. You go into the Greymon X for free. You go into Metal Greymon BT12 for 1. Because it's 2 color and it costs 3 to Digivolve. Not 4. 3 to Digivolve on a... Is it Greymon or Greymon in its name? Because that does matter. It's one or the other, and I believe it might be Greymon. But it Digivolves for 1. So now you're at 1 memory with a level 5. And then you have ET12 WarGreymon with Raid. And does it have Blitz natively? Let's double check that.
No, it's just Raid.
No, it's just Raid? Okay.
Yeah.
But you have this now 3 cost to Digivolve, because it Digivolves for 3 if name contains Metal Gray. 3 cost to Digi... Oh, that's what it is. Because you can go... that new Metal Greymon... Excuse me. It does cost 4 to Digivolve, but it only costs 3 from a level 4 if the name contains Greymon. So there we go. It has Raid. It plays a Tamer. It has a Tamer. I'm sorry, it plays a Tamer. It plays a 4 cost or less Tamer when it raids. Can you believe that? It's going to play your Memory Tamer or your new tie for free. And then the new Metal Gray also has Raid, is natively, and this is where my problem with it becomes. The game has been balanced, because 11k stat lines have normally cost 3, 12k stat lines have cost 4, 13k stat lines have cost 5. And that's what makes the trade-off of stuff like Gaiamon and BlackWarGreymon X nice. Here's WarGreymon, 12k stat line Raid with a built-in unsuspend. And it costs 3 alongside its entire line that is just cracked. Y'all think it's bad now?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. But like that's what I mean.
You could do a crazy combo with the Raid WarGreymon and WarGreymon X. And so you raid, you swing, you unsuspend, you activate the raid first, then you activate the X-Antibody. So because Raid's effect allows you to swing unsuspended, and you unsuspend your Digimon, your WarGrey X pops out, swing over the Digimon, WarGrey X and an attack effect happens, boom, right? You blow something up, and then you still have another swing at security problems for another like 2-3 checks or whatever crazy nonsense you have going on too. So like you get to like combo off your war. It's gonna be like super crazy.
You know, deck
and
strong.
then of course you gain memory when you take away security. So like it's gonna be so much fun.
It's gonna be crazy.
Of course you say that.
No, I also, again, want to state this. Play the format out.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't. I know that there's so many people right now that are calling for the hit and the ban. Look, man, we just survived 2 sets of Melga supremacy.
Thank you. Thank you. Preach, Michael.
Like, Melga supremacy.
And immediately.
We Digimon players as a whole have such bad recency bias. I see it so much. I saw it. Literally, while I was watching the Eggman stream, I saw it when BlackWarGrey was playing against Shoutmon, I think round 3 or round 4, and Shoutmon looked like it was winning at one point, and everyone immediately started saying that Crossheart needed to be hit again. And then it lost, and then everyone went back to saying BlackWarGreymon X needed to be hit.
I can't stand this community sometimes.
The Digimon community is. How crazy is it? Literally, the chat went from this side all the way to this side in like
they went from Dems to Republicans back to Dems real quick.
Like 15 minutes, dude. It was nuts.
I will say though, the new trio tamer, the white tamer, is so effing busted though. Like,
it's really good.
About, like, the things you could do with like other decks. Though that card is crazy. That card's not cracked. What?
Oh, okay, the card's good. The card is good. Don't get me wrong. It does exactly what the deck needs to do. That busted would have been if they made it a memory tamer, and it automatically set you to 3. And then you're playing everything. Bro,
that card's cracked. That card's cracked.
Oh yeah, you're right. That card's so crazy. What does Yuya do again?
It's just a memory tamer. That's all.
It's just a memory tamer, that's all.
Just a memory tamer.
Doesn't do anything
protection,
else.
That's all. You know what I'm saying? Just gives protection. That's all. It's only for a turn.
It just says you can't do anything to me.
It also gives a DP boost. It's literally hero and ADP combined into a black tamer.
Exactly. Yeah. It's not bad. It's fair and balanced. But it makes a Crossheart like stuff instead like go way faster than it did previously though. It's a crack card. It's a crack card.
It's really good, and it's great for Cross because now it costs 4, which is awesome. So if you have that on the field and you have a Taiki on the field, or a Mikey, whatever you want to call him. That dub sucks though, so we're going with
his name is Taiki.
Yeah, it's Taiki. But if you have the trio tamer on the field and a Taiki, suddenly BlackWarGrey from BT8 has to make a decision on what it's popping.
I'm always popping the white tamer. Always popping the white tamer.
Taiki. Yeah, but what if I get sneaky and start putting stuff under that Taiki though? That's gonna make you think about your decisions.
It makes you definitely.
You popping 2 3-cross tamers, or you popping 1-4?
So that's a big thing. Like, so I was playing in Mario's. He had a sub appreciation tournament today. Mario Gaming's World. Shout out to him if you guys don't know him. He's one of the better Digimon content creators.
He's just like the top Digimon content creator.
Yeah. I agree. I like Mario a lot. He does a lot for the community, regardless of the controversy y'all may think about his market watches. That being said, so I was playing it. I was playing in his sub appreciation tournament today. I was playing my Venusmon shenanigans. If y'all don't know, I'm a degenerate card player. I like degeneracy on cards, specifically if they're female. So that's what I was playing. I played 2 Crosshearts, Grandis, and D Reaper. I'm a scrub. Okay, I'll come out and say that right out the gate. I'm a scrub. All right.
Yeah. Can we get like a quick pause to like an hour ago when you said that if you win a store championship, some of them are scrubs?
I am a scrub. I'm telling you. Where's the hat? I will put on a hat that says scrub. Hold on. Let me write it somewhere.
Editor, fix that part right there.
This guy right here, pure scrub, right? Well, yes, I did. I chaos degraded a freaking, oh, you can't see it. This is sad. I chaos degraded a gatekeeper against D Reaper to security. And you'd think the smart play would be top trash top.
Yeah.
Ask me why I did that to the first one that I degraded. Ask me why the second one I put it to the bottom in trash top.
Why?
I think I'm just so used to saying bottom trash top because that's normally what you want to do. That like it was the first words that came out my mouth. But we're in tournament play.
So like I'm living life right now.
We talked about it after the match. He was like, yeah, when you did that, I was like, oh, thank God. Because I had game. And the moment I did that, I was like, and I lost that match mainly because of that. Like,
yeah, for those who don't know what Gatekeeper does,
yes,
if it's insecurity, it plays without paying its memory costs. It doesn't battle, but it plays without paying its memory costs, and you recover one. And then, if you have a D-Reaper with 6 or more sources underneath it, all of your opponent's Digimon gain security attack -1.
Yep.
So Varni literally like negged 17 himself right there.
I'm still livid over that. Like,
yo,
Varni, like, that's like if Varni read Pot of Greed and then trashed his hand instead. That's what he just did.
I'm a scrub. Yo. Straight up.
Yo.
But okay, whatever. I played against 2 Xros Hearts today. First one was he was a newer player. So I had to teach him the matchup a little bit, and it was cool. It was a nice matchup. The second guy I played against was a much better Xros Heart player because he had me thinking because, like you said, Mike, he's got Taiki and he's got the Taiki Kiriha and Nene, and he only had one of them on the field, but he wasn't putting any source underneath. And I have Zwerk Defeat in the deck. I only have one. All I get is one Tamer pop. And I'm like, I'd love to pop the Taiki because it has like 3 or 4 sources. But that Taiki Kiriha and Nene is just doing too much work for him right now. Wow. Yeah, I gotta get rid of that. Like, yeah, you can keep your sources.
When I play Cross, I always do the like, obviously I'm thinking of my turn like before it becomes my turn, so I already know my plays. But I'm always like, all right, I'm putting this under on the start of my turn, and I'm crossing the same turn so that it has no sources. But I'm getting that memory, and I'm tucking under, and then I'm playing it right from that exact same place. Mm-hmm. And then when it dies at the end of this turn, it's going right under Taiki.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting that full effect, and I ain't not putting anything underneath it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a smart way to play. It really is. Speaking of Cross, Mike, I want to ask you because you're the Cross player in our group.
Oh God, remember degenerate now that it's doing so good,
right? Remember, I don't know if you ever saw people like talk about Cross 7. I think you said it yourself that Cross 7 was the bad build, right? And that Merva was the way to go.
Oh, I didn't say it was the bad build. I said I thought that Merva was probably the better build, and Cross 7 was way freaking cooler. I said that it's the way cooler build. It's jankier. You're probably going to have bricks in your hand at some point in the game, but it feels so damn good to slam a Cross 7 down for 2. Nothing feels better.
Hey, is it janky though? Because they're like out of the 3 top 16 Xros Heart lists I'm looking at, 2 are Cross 7, 1 was Merva. And the second place, Kevin Tai Xros Heart list, he's got 3 Cross 7, he's got the 2 Cross 5, he's got the 1 Cross 4, all 4 of the Cross 3. Like he said.
So, in my opinion, I really don't think it's that janky.
Yeah,
I think that it's pretty good, and I think that. Like, I never thought it was that janky. Like, I said it was janky, but that's just because what everyone else says. Everyone else says, like, the Cross 7 build's janky, it bricks in your hand, it's a prick in your hand. First of all, no, it's not. Go ahead. If I'm playing against a BlackWarGreymon X or something that just passed me 8 memory off of some crazy combo, but it doesn't have protection, I'm crossing for freaking 14. Like, it costs 14. I only have 2 sources. I'm crossing for 8. Like, I don't care. Or 12, whatever, 10. I'm crossing for whatever I got in my hand. I'll jank my ass, bro. You just let me play this card for whatever. Like, I don't care. But I'm also crazy, and I don't even like I don't really like BT11 Machine Dramon because I just like to slap things down on the field for a bunch of memory and place a bunch of cards underneath it. So maybe I'm crazy, but I never thought that, like, in my opinion, like, all the games I've played, I never even did the Merva build, even though I have the cards for it. Because I like the Cross 7 build so much. I think it's really fun. Not that I don't think the Mervamon is probably also really fun to cross and rush, like, you know what I mean? But it's really fun to just get that level 6 on the field for 2, which is insane, by the way. A lot of people were saying that was too busted and was too strong this weekend. Whatever. But it's awesome, first of all, to be able to do that.
Let me just build a Megazord real quick.
But the reason why, in my opinion, like, it's not like people like it's so much. It's literally 6 material from your hand or from the field. It can also be from the field. But when you have that much material, odds are not all of it's coming off from your tamers. So you're losing resources in your hand. So if that gets wiped out, and
such as by a Digivolve,
or you get like, I don't know, you hit a Chaos Degrade in trash, not in trash and security, and that gets trash and you don't get to save any of your sources.
Yep.
That hurts. It gets bounced back to hand. You just literally negged yourself 6 because now you're gone 6 sources. I mean, it's like it has its ups and downs, you know? I mean, it's the same thing with Dorbic. If you Dorbic for, full Dorbic cost, you just lost all those cards in your hand. It still feels really good to Dorbic, though.
Hey, wait, did you just say Dorbic? You mean top 16 Dorbic? You mean Dorbic OTK that was giving people the hands all weekend Dorbic? Yo, you seen this Dorbic list, awesome, bro?
I love Dorbic, too. I think that's a super fun deck. I think it's the same reason I think that Cross 7 is so fun is the reason I think Dorbic's so fun. I get to play a level 6 for no cost. I get to do some crazy stuff. I get to pop a card, and I just get to put a bunch of random cards underneath. That is super fun. It's a great way to play. And again, it's full janky. I think I heard the one Dorbic player who was doing really good. I think was it top 16 he made? The Dorbic player that made top 16?
Yeah.
Or top 32?
NA top 16.
I heard he bricked or something, but I mean, still, like that's the, you're going to high roll. If you high roll with a deck like that,
do you see how much Sec +1 he has? He has the 2 Greymon Sec +1, Volkdramon Sec +1, Master Tyranno Sec +1, Jazardmon Sec +1. In other words, I'm swinging to wipe out your security. And I'm gonna ADP too.
And you're popping something. That's sweet. I'm all about it, in my opinion. I think that's cool.
He played. He's playing like the system on blocks and stuff too, right? And there's like 4 fireballs and then
no Blanc, just the fireball and the 4 Air of the Dragons.
Jeez, that man's wild.
8 pot agreed.
That man's wild. Because I would definitely run like a system on block in that type of build. But hey, I don't really play that deck, so
he's got 8 pot agreed and then 3 mem boost.
Yeah. That's you get a lot of draws, definitely.
A hell of a deck is what it is. No, I'm about it though. And I guess we got a little off topic, but yeah, I think maybe the Cross 7 build is the better build. But also, you guys got to realize this is our first major tournament of BT11.
Mm-hmm.
We have no idea what this format's gonna look like.
Agreed. And that's why good.
It's just like I've seen a lot of our formats start, and in our heads, a lot of Digimon players, we were like, this is the deck that's gonna, win, it's the deck that's gonna be the best deck, blah 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 blah. Do you guys remember when D Reaper suddenly became the best deck a few months ago?
Oh yeah.
When the format started, no one even saw D Reaper coming and doing that. I'm just saying, like,
that was the BT9 format, and D Reaper came out of nowhere just because the way like decks were, but people expected Alphamon to be like the most best deck ever, and then what happened? Now go and you right, like so, and then we had other formats that happened with the format with old school Imperial was like irrelevant, and then like towards the end it was like considered one of the better decks in the format. Because who was it? Dan Vang topped with it, and then like everybody was playing that deck or something like that.
It was BT5.
Yeah. So
I was playing Imperial during BT5.
We have so many formats where it was like one way in the beginning, and then by the end it's like a whole 180. So like the fact that people were like over this meta and like are assuming that it's gonna be BlackWarGreymon or bust, basically. I mean, kind of, but like. It's only one tournament, so we can't guarantee that's what's going to be like forever.
Yeah, and also, I mean, it has the most representation out of any deck in another format, no doubt. However,
what did it win?
It only won one. Only won one of the nationals. Grandis took Oceania, and Cross took EU, and Cross technically also took Latin, but they didn't play BT11, so
yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, can you say that's the best? If you're going off representations, yeah, sure, you could say it's the best
for sure.
But I think a lot of people get caught up with the deck. I'm not gonna say it's a helmet deck, but a lot of people get caught up with decks that are doing so well, and they don't actually learn the deck.
So blindsided.
Mm-hmm. They don't learn the deck properly.
Look at Yellow Hybrid. Like, people called for Yellow Hybrid on a freaking pitchfork. But what events was Yellow Hybrid winning? Blue Hybrid was kicking Yellow Hybrid's ass in terms of winning events. It was
consistently topping, but never won, though. You know,
it was Imperial.
Still say, I think that the way they hit Blue Hybrid was like such a good way to hit that deck, and then they did Yellow Hybrid so dirty. They did Yellow Hybrid.
I know. Rip my girl Jet Sylphie.
Bro, they did the right thing.
That's a different discussion for another day, right? Like,
I know. But that's just so crazy to me still.
But I feel like, honestly, I think this format is very diverse. I think it's way more diverse than people are giving credit. I think that this format is more skillful than it has been in the last since BT9. I want to say no disrespect to BT9 format, but it was very we know some people who aren't. We know some people who are it was you can win with Alphamon and you don't even know how to be a good player. You could win with Melga, you don't have to be a skillful player, you know what I'm saying?
You could win with Cross 4 before it got hit without being a skillful player.
Yeah.
Easy. You know?
So I think this format, I think the BlackWarGreymon mirror is more skillful than people give it credit for. Especially after talking with Juan Zero, for example, he thinks this is one of the more skill intensive formats, and I was yo, I really agree too. Especially in the mirror, I would think the mirror is more of a chess match to me, because it's either who plays chicken kind of a sense, but who gets to the stack, does the other person have the alpha to the stack, and it just keeps snowballing back and forth on how far you're thinking ahead for your plays and stuff, and if you have the sources, obviously the resources in your hand for it. And the same thing to me, if you're doing the Cross versus BlackWarGreymon X, right? You gotta know when to play your tamers. If you just throw out all your tamers, sometimes that's your only plays, right? It's because you don't got much. You just gotta throw out your tamers and hope for the best. But sometimes you gotta hold a couple of them back because you know you're gonna get blasted with BlackWarGreymon, or you're gonna get blasted with Hades Force. And then on the opposing side, right, if you're the BlackWarGreymon players, do you see BlackWarGreymon? Do you see Hades Force? If you don't see either, which who'd it happen to? This guy right here, against the cross matchup, right? Now you have to figure out what's your next steps on how to win, because they can out aggro you the new age rookie rush, but plus more, you know what I'm saying? So you gotta figure out how you can not outpace them, but slow them down. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And then same thing Grandis versus BlackWarGreymon, right? It's who gets the big stack out. And if you're a BlackWarGreymon, do you have the counter to the Grandis, and vice versa and stuff? And I can keep going. But my point is that it's more skillful than people give it credit, and people are saying, oh, BlackWarGreymon's helmet, blah blah, this that. Nah. If you're saying that, to me, you're a bad player, and you don't know the intricacies of the matchups. To me, in my opinion.
What I will say, I guess I have two things to say. What I will say is, I think BlackWarGreymon is a deck that has a higher ceiling than people realize, but a really low doorway. So it's really easy to get in and play the deck and do well. It's really hard to play the deck and do great. I'll say that. And I think that's where, I can't speak. I wasn't a nationalist. But I think that's where a lot of the disconnect with some of these other decks topping and getting so much representation is because of the mirror matches. People that were playing the deck just because it was good and didn't really understand the ins and outs of the deck and how well it can actually operate. When you're playing,
I've seen people who didn't know how navigate that matchup.
100%. And I said this earlier in the week to Varni. I think that the best decks are the ones that are versatile, right? That's why BlackWarGreymon plays 3 different megas. 4 different megas. If you're playing, you can play 4 different megas in that deck if you want to. That's why they play old Omni X. That's why they play new Omni X. There is so much to do with that deck, and that's what makes it so good, is because of how versatile it can be. There were so many jokes going into Nationals about how the deck is the same build and blah, 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 blah. Is it, though? There's so many. It just
proved that like it's not, because you have people top of a promo BlackWarGreymon, and that whole deck version is kind of different in like how they navigate their games compared to like my version or something, or like other people's version. And my version was different because like I was running Ultras modes, I was running like both Omni X's, I was running like different like ratios for certain cards and stuff, you know. And I'm sure there's a lot of like people who like copied and pasted a lot of the same like decks they saw online and stuff and whatnot, but like you saw like who were the better players, that they had their own ideas and it worked for them clearly.
Yeah, and you know, like I also this early in the week to Varni, no card is perfect all the time, right?
Nope.
There are,
especially in this game, especially in Digimon.
Yeah, there's a reason why people play 3 megas in BlackWarGreymon X, right? It's because they need that diversity in the deck. They need the variety. You know, in a certain, like, it's just the truth, you know? Like, if your deck can spread out and do different things instead of getting stuck in one hole, that's what's going to make the deck good. I mean, look at Cross 7, right? Look at Shaman. Why is that deck doing so good right now? Because it can rookie rush you, and it can put a giant stack on the field. It can go wide, and it can also just do 1 stack format that everyone complains about. It's doing both. It's going wide, and it's getting a huge stack on the field. That's pretty good. You know? It's going to DP reduce you. And it can also pop a Digimon. It can play a blocker. It can rush per game. You know? You can literally just go into a King for 3 and rush, or you can go into a Star Sword for 3, rush. Like, there's so many different options in that deck that you can go to. Even, you know, look at Beelstar topping, right? It didn't get a lot of tops or anything, but that just proves like a deck like Beelstar can still win because it can be so versatile. You can build it in so many different ways. You can add so many different cards into it and fit the meta. Beelstar has gotten no direct support since BT6.
As a matter of fact, they're trying not to give it support, because if you guys didn't know, not you guys, but for our audience, if you guys didn't know, they're printing option cards that are actually 7 cost, but they're making it 8 cost, reducing by 1 if you fulfill requirements such as having that color tamer in play. Specifically so Beelstar cannot abuse it.
And like, people will find ways to make that deck work because it can be so versatile, though. And like, that's what I'm saying. Like, the best decks sometimes are the decks that build you into a certain direction. Like, not that Grandis isn't a great deck, but Grandis only has one way to win, and that is get to Grandis, swing for 6 security in a single turn, and pray to whatever you believe in that you're not hitting anything in security that's killing you. And that's just the truth. But that's why you don't see...
Some of those decks that like they do that so well, they don't need a second option. Like
100%.
What was it? Was it the one that won or something like that? They was running Reflagemon also. They were playing Reflagemon. No, wait. There was another. Was it? Maybe it was the NA version. I'm my fault. It might have been the NA version or whatever the Grand is at top. They were playing Reflagemon. They were playing 4, and then 2 Reflagemon, which I thought was super interesting. But like, does it need it? It does one thing so well. It's same to Amelga. It does one thing so well. Like, why does it need anything else? It's just certain decks they kind of need the extra versatility, and that may or may not break the deck. I don't know, but like, yeah, that was the Grandest evolution is super cool, right? Like you just mentioned, like Mans was playing 4 Davises and 4 Core Calculons, right?
Yeah,
like, that was so crazy to read.
But it was 4 Davis, 2 Megadeth, 1 Giga, and Koikaku. But like, you know, like what I'm saying though is like, decks that can only do one thing and do one thing so well can get shut down in a format where they can't do that thing well anymore. Like if you look at Melga, not that Melga is a bad deck, it didn't get hit, you know, it's still at full power, but Melga's not going to do as good now because it has a deck that's as fast as it and can build up a blocker, right? So now that Melga it still does its single thing really well, but there's another deck in the format that just is like, we're blocking you from doing that at this point, right? And because Melga can't be as versatile, it's just stuck there. My crazy, like, sadomasochistic mind is like, we need black Metal Garurumon cards now that are just as ignorant as BlackWarGreymon.
If Garurumon deck gets something to like reduce costs, like the way BlackWarGreymon deck got, it would be like so unstoppable. I think like imagine taking that promo Garurumon and Digivolving for 1 or something like that. Like their plays would just blow up, and like how fast things will get out of hand. Like it's okay, they don't need it. They can have their own deck. They can have like a black Metal Garurumon deck, but separate from that. You know what I'm saying? Well,
here's like look at Imperial. Like Imperial is my all-time favorite deck. I love Imperial so much. It has not gotten weaker since it came out. However, other decks caught up to it, right? And now Imperial's whole thing of like, let me jamming swing, DNA on turn 2, jamming swing, you know, again, go into an Imperial, pop things out, and, you know, keep going. Like, that was so good for BT8 because it was the only deck that was playing that fast. And then Melga came, and then BlackWarGreymon got some more support, and now suddenly Imperial is like in this like game, in this meta where it can't do what it was doing so well anymore. And even like in BT12, like when we get new Imperial support, it's still not as good, and it adds some more variety where you can bottom deck cards like that don't have sources and send stuff back to hand that don't have sources, whatever. But like it tries to give it more variety, and I think that's what Bandai should do in general for more decks, is just give you more options on how to play the deck, make them more versatile, you know? Because I think that's the best way to give decks support, is to, instead of funneling into a single idea on how to play the deck, open that up more, right? Turn that around and let people open up their ideas and creativity on how to play the deck.
So I don't want to drag this on too much longer because we're already about an hour and a half in, but there's two things that I need to touch on. So one is your point that you just made. I was actually talking on Reddit with a couple people about, you know, basically the idea of playing archetypes and playing archetypes a specific way. Somebody posted during Nationals, they said, I'm at Nationals and I've never had less fun in this game. And there's a lot that can be said about it, but we're not here to troll or anything. We're here to talk, you know, just a little bit seriously, because we're only a little bit serious. One guy basically said, like, this is the problem with making archetypes. It's the Yu-Gi-Oh problem. Yu-Gi-Oh has archetypes, and their archetypes are meant to play a specific way, and they're so busted because they do these things, they do it so efficiently that there's just nothing, there's no better way to play than to play these archetypes. And basically that Bandai should, as you said, Mike, do what you said and make more generic cards, or even if you make archetype cards, make them just like a touch more generic so that you don't force it into playing a certain way. And that's kind of it's not a problem, but what is Digimon, you know? Like, when this card game came out back in, I think the earliest being the late 90s, early 2000s at the first iteration, the idea was to emulate Pokemon in that here's Agumon. Agumon digivolves into Greymon, Greymon digivolves into Metal Greymon, Metal Greymon digivolves into WarGreymon, and that's what you play. It failed 2 or 3 times. Come to the iteration of Digimon today, where Red Agumon can digivolve into Fugamon, and then Fugamon can digivolve into Volcdramon, and then Volcdramon can digivolve into freaking Breakdramon. Like, it's a lot more generic in that aspect, and I think that's what made pretty much everything, I would say, up until BT7. Yeah, everything up until BT7 so fun. And not that I don't find it still fun, but so fun, and what made Digimon as popular as it is right now, because you had all these decks that, yeah, you could play Greymon Tribal, but you could also play Agumon and some other, like for example, Dorbic, right? Like, Dorbic's the perfect example of a deck that is not an archetype. There's a lot of good generic stuff that you can put in that deck, though. And then you have BlackWarGrey, and you have Examon, and you have Grandis, and you have all these archetype decks. And like, me personally, like, I wouldn't play this game if I couldn't play archetypes. I love Royal Knights. I love Examon as a deck. I love what it does, and I would only ever play Examon. When you got into the game, what did you play, Mike?
Greymon Tribal, baby.
Greymon Tribal. That's what you wanted.
But I like, but it's so funny when you think about like a Greymon Tribal deck then, because now all decks are basically tribal decks. So it's like,
yeah, exactly.
To say Greymon Tribal, because back then to play Greymon Tribal, you almost sometimes had to play cards that may not have been as good as other red cards at the time.
Yeah,
just to like
exactly.
make that deck work, and I really loved it.
Yeah, and so, that's the difference between then and now. Go ahead, Dan.
It's so like, that comment is so dumb to me, because the way Digimon is, it was inherently going to be archetypal.
Yeah,
there's so many variants of Greymon that there was going to be a Greymon Tribal. There was going to be like, well, we're going to have coming like BT12 and then EX04, where it's like a variety of different like Greymon type decks happening, right? We have a variety of Goblimons. We have a variety of different like, every line has a variety of stuff, and the game was going to become like Palmon Tribal. Like, back then it was like Greymon, Garurumon Tribal, because that was the only thing we had, and we're slowly becoming more and more having tribal type decks. You can build now a Phoenixmon Tribal deck. You can build technically you could build a Rosemon Tribal deck. It might be garbage, but you can still do it. You know what I'm saying? We're at a point where like Green's best decks, right? You got like Bloom Lord. That's a tribal, like, not per name. It's not like a Romon, but it's a vegetation deck. That's an archetype. Like, that's gonna happen.
Call it right. It's salad dot deck.
Salad dot deck, sure, whatever. Then we're gonna call it, sure, whatever. But like, that was bound to happen just because of the nature of Digimon. Like,
yes.
if you didn't expect it to be like archetype, I don't know what you thought this was gonna be, honestly. So like, that's just I don't know.
That's what it is. That's what Digimon is. It's like, it didn't work in the beginning, maybe because of mechanics or whatever, like the original iterations.
That game was terrible. Oh my god, that game was so hard to learn for no reason. As like a child too, like, it was like terrible. You have like a wheel you have to spin and everything. Anyways.
But yeah. Just now, like, yeah, like, that's what Digimon is. Like, every Digimon has its canon line, or what its intended Digievolution should be. And it also has sidelines. Like, it's just, that is Digimon.
I mean, if you've ever played Digimon, like, World, like, you know that the Digimon you have isn't guaranteed to digivolve into the Digimon you want, you know?
Yeah,
like, that's
exactly.
just how Digimon works. But, in general, I think that archetypes aren't a bad thing. I think it's like the natural progression of the game.
Agreed.
I mean, even like in Magic the Gathering, that card game has been out for 30 plus years now. That card game has archetypes, and it also just has random decks that work well together. It's got like decks like Dredge, but like, they still kind of fit into an archetype. It's got decks like Ponza, which is literally just land destruction, but that's a land destruction archetype. You know, like I'm saying,
controls an archetype.
Bronze is like a jank deck. Like, you know what I mean? Like there are so many. Like it's got 5-color humans, boggles. It's got like all these random decks that you can play in Magic. Those are archetypes. Every card game needs archetypes. I think it needs like when your favorite Digimon, right, gets a deck that like is awesome or gets new support. How does that make you feel?
Exactly.
Right.
I hate that I can't play Venusmon Tribal.
Like when Dark Knightmon finally gets its rightful support. And
hey, you have an entire tribal deck.
like it finally gets it thrust into tier 0 and gets all of my favorite cards banned. I can't wait for that day. I'm excited for that day. I crave it.
The last thing I just want to touch on before we end. We just want to give a shout out to our very first YouTube comment from the Backwoods Geek. This was 2 weeks ago. We didn't see it come through in time for our last podcast, unfortunately. But it's something that like I talked about with the boys and we had talked about it, but we never actually addressed it. So the comment is something in relation to what we said. We were most likely talking about a ban list. As someone who has 4 Dexmon, he needs to go to 1 just because he limits design space so severely. He's the reason we've been stuck in a 1-stack meta so long. He literally pushes any go-wide deck out of the meta, and he is splashable in every single color deck. I enjoyed the podcast, but I think y'all's takes on bans were pretty cold. I replied, I'm going to paraphrase. Big response. I basically said I disagree. Bloom is still a good deck, regardless of Dexmon. We've been stuck on a 1-stack meta because those decks are good at what they do. And if you can't overcome decks, there's a skill gap. Okay, that's paraphrased basically what I said. His response: Bloom isn't all that relevant in the English meta. It tops occasionally, but that's only because Black or Gray is keeping decks out of the meta in any sort of significant way. I'm just not a fan of silver bullet cards that can turn off entire archetypes for near free. I pass it over to you, Dan and Mike. What's the response?
All right, so how I feel about that is go ahead and look at top 4 lists from this weekend.
Thank you. I have them up. Do you want to know do you want to know the decks that we're running, Dexmon? I'll tell you. There's a Blue Flare deck, BL Star deck, Merva, Jess, Masty, Bielza, Jess, Machine Dramon. Across both NA and Oceania. Not sure about EU. Yeah. So that's a total of 11 decks.
To make that even crazier, if you go to Latin America and look at the top 4, I don't know what the rest of the tournament looked like. Why don't you go ahead and ask me how many were playing decks?
How many, Mike?
0.
Oh.
Do you know what top, though? Top 4?
What, Mike?
Gloomlord topped. That's weird. Crossheart topped. It's a good wide deck.
Let me say this. There's 2 problems. Number 1, North American players will only play what they know is good.
Facts.
They will only play what is consistent. Kevin Tai, who placed second with Crossheart, said it himself. He would have played BlackWarGreymon X, he would have played Grandis, or he would have even played Examon. And the reason that he didn't play any one of those 3 decks is because he didn't want to deal with consistency issues. He played Crosshearts because more often than not, Crosshearts is fairly consistent. There are bricks, as there are in every deck, but the brick potential for Crosshearts compared to stack decks, Digivolve decks, especially a deck like Examon, I can tell you firsthand, Examon bricks like a mother. Grandis, there's a reason they run 4 Davis or they run 4 Mem Boost. There's a reason. I'm sorry I have to do this, Dan. There's a reason that Dan placed the way that he did because it fucking happens. I'm sorry for the language there. That's Digimon, right? And North American players,
the game.
we're competitive. And there are a lot of competitive players who will only play what is good and what is consistent. That is why Melga topped for so long. Melga was the best deck in terms of consistency and what it did. There was no other deck to play but Melga. If you played anything else, it's because you didn't like Melga. Like, that's straight up what it was.
No, it's the truth. Actually, if you remember back in BT8, in the beginning half of BT8, no one was playing hybrids anymore. Like, yellow hybrid was still around, but it wasn't really topping. And then, like, people in their minds remembered that blue hybrid was still absolutely broken. And then the rest of BT8 was all blue hybrid. I think it was like 70% of all tournaments were just blue hybrid.
Yes.
Like that clicked in people's mind in the US that blue hybrid was busted, and it just absolutely broke the game. Like,
agreed.
Like
that is why.
But no one was playing it really before then. Like, BTA came out and everyone was like, "Oh, shiny new card, sick." And then someone was like, "Whoa, blue hybrid's broken right now," and everyone was like, "Yo, this guy's right. Blue hybrid's broken." Like, that's just the US format. Like, our metas are so, and I've been saying this, our metas are different than Japan. Do not look at Japan and think we're having the same meta. It's not going to happen. Don't look at a Japanese deck list and take it for us. They're playing best of 1. It's not going to work as well in best of 3. It's just the truth. You got to tweak it. Don't, again, I don't even know if this has ever been said on the show. Stop net decking. Build a deck yourself. You can go and look at decks online. That's fine. Get some inspiration. Don't copy a list unless you know exactly what those cards are doing in it. I guarantee you that there are people who just saw this Grandis list that is playing 4 Davis, 1 Ice Wall, 1 Giga, 2 Megadeth, and 2 Korikakus, and they're going to copy that list exactly how it is and lose every game and say it sucks.
Yeah, they are.
It's just like, that's just how it is. Like, that deck was tailor-made probably for his playstyle, for his, like, what he thought was going to see in his meta at Oceania Nationals, what he thought was going to win. Like, that's probably not going to work for you at your locals.
Digimon's a very personal game. It's not Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, choices in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are barely, Dan, would you say they're like almost like I would say that the choices in Yu-Gi-Oh! Comes in your side deck, right?
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Almost feels like it's predetermined nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, when a deck comes out, you just play like what you already know with the three ofs, what else you know what you're gonna play. This a little diverse stuff you could do here and there, but like it's not really anything, when tier limits was tier 0, like what was there really like difference in each deck? There wasn't really anything. You knew what the 40 card deck was gonna be. The difference was your side deck, really. Digimon, you can make a lot of differences in a deck. The only deck that in like recent memory that was a 50 card deck. That was it. You shouldn't even touch it. Don't change it. Was Melga. Melga was probably like the only like solid 50 card deck where you was like you play X, Y, and Z, and that was it because that's how it worked, and that was just perfection almost.
And even then, in BT9, people were running red options in it because of security control. So like even then, which I agree with you, it's like the most 50 card cut dry deck there is. Still had some variances, which is wild.
And I think you guys also have to realize, like, not every deck is for you. I came to that realization this week. I love Mastimon. I love Mastimon to death. No lie. Yeah. I love the deck. I love what it does. I've been playing it since it came out, but I have not seen success with Mastimon ever. I'm a good Digimon player, straight up. I don't see success with Mastimon. It bricks. It's inconsistent. I don't see what I need. I constantly get mollywopped when I play Mastimon. Mike has done it, Dan has done it, and I've gone to locals and I have purposely not played Mastimon at locals because I know I'll get the hands. It's that bad. And I decided this week to give the deck up. It's just not for me, and I don't think it ever will be. And that's fine. To be fair,
I also just don't think that deck's that good. That's probably a hot take, but
I mean, hey, to each their own, right? To each their own.
I think that's one of those decks where like, when it breaks, It breaks.
But look, like Ying, like back during like BT 8 and 9, like people were topping with Mastemon, not like consistently, but you were seeing at least 1 to 2 tops in an event. And you look at it and you're like, how are people doing this? And you can go and you can copy the list, you play it, and you're like, how? It doesn't work for me. And it's because it's
luck.
Luck is a big thing. And decks are also very personal.
I'll say this. People don't realize how much luck goes into playing a card game. Every time you shuffle, every time you draw, every time your deck gets cut,
the harder the cards.
You are literally throwing luck into the mix. Is your opening hand going to be good? Is your opponent's opening hand going to be good? We don't know. Like when you see a deck top, like, and this dude went 9-0, you don't know what happened in those games unless you were playing those games, right? If for all we know, I could go and top a tournament this weekend with the most random BS deck you've ever seen, and it's because all of my opponents bricked and for some strange reason passed me 8 memory every single turn.
It'd never be like that.
You never
know. Like Nats regional run, like luck definitely plays some part. Your matchups kind of played a part. Like if you somehow dodged a BlackWarGreymon X, you play like 5-6 X months, and somehow that's 5-0 easy for you. You know what I'm saying? And like that happens sometimes. It plays a part of it. And also like you say, if you don't break, I mean, it's like that's where the luck really comes in. Your opponent's security sucks in this game. Your starting hand or your security could be like always busted. Like it just there's those days, and like props to those players who make top 32, especially for like Nats, because they went through that grind and they had to like play through those awful games and somehow still be able to pull it out and still get the W.
And that's mentally challenging too.
It is.
9 rounds, and it's just like I saw somebody post on the group that like they were like, damn, like it's so mentally grueling doing these IRL tournaments, because even online, but especially IRL, because you have to sit in there. They didn't have any food at the venue.
Nope.
There was a lack of bathrooms, or bathrooms are hard to find.
No, it was a one big bathroom. I don't know who said that.
Oh, okay.
It was really down the hall.
There was it's a lot to contend with, and when you're sitting there and you're playing best of 3s and you got all these decisions to be making, what's my move now? What's my move in 2 turns? Damn, I gotta go to game 2, and then you got 9 rounds of doing that. Yeah, bro, like that's mentally draining. It takes some real balls. That's all I'll say. Like there's just no amount of preparation that you can do to prepare for something like that. You just kind of got to go through it, see what it's like, and then you just got to steel yourself for the next time.
Thanks. I also, I think we're probably hitting a big time at this point.
We're well over time.
I think we got off topic there that last bit. Anyways, to sum it up, I don't think Death X should be hit. Unless you outright ban the card. Putting it to 1 does absolutely nothing.
Those decks were all running it at 1.
At 1, exactly. It's the same thing when people say they need to put when you put a card to 1, there's a reason why when Alphamon got hit, they didn't put Oryukin to 1. They didn't put Alphamon to 1. They put Doru Grey to 1 because Bandai knows that's the card you hit to slow a deck down. When Jesmon got hit, they didn't put Jesmon to 1. They put Savior to 1 because that's the card you hit to slow a deck down. When Yellow Hybrid got hit, what did they hit?
You mean when it got murked? Sorry,
yeah,
I missed up.
When Blue Hybrid got hit, what got hit? Tommy, because that's how you slow the deck down. Putting decks to 1 does absolutely nothing, except people are now just going to go, yeah, I was already playing this card at 1. Thanks, Bandai.
Bro, like
does nothing.
The people who advocate for decks getting hit, so they're like, oh yeah, so that I can finally afford it. Has to be the dumbest thing. I'm
the
sorry.
card doesn't get cheaper. You still need one.
You're gonna need one. It'll plummet the price, sure, because now you don't need 3 copies for like one deck. But these, like you said, these decks are only playing it out one. But that's besides the point. It's like a minute. We're like almost 2 hours into this, Bron. It was a Nationals podcast. It was to be expected. It's all cool. I'm sorry. I kind of screwed up the beginning because I wasn't recording the video. So it'll be fine. I'll fix it. Anyways, that's all for today, guys. Next time we're gonna be talking to you guys. We're gonna be doing some interviews. I'm trying to get LCQ to top 16 guy in for an interview. That's gonna be nice. We got Adrian coming in for interview. Also gonna be nice. So look forward to all of that. So until we see you guys next time.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Hopefully next time we talk, I'll be on East Coast time and not whatever the hell Phoenix is.
Whatever Phoenix is, yeah.
Yeah. I'm tired of hotel rooms. Take it easy, boys. Peace.
Catch y'all on the next one.